Wednesday, but we are going to talk about maybe Sociopath Saturday and how you can dump dating that sociopath. So welcome back, Dr. Annabelle Charbit. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Well, we have been chatting while you guys have been listening to some awesome music. Thank you, Brian, for taking good care of us.
You're welcome anytime.
He is so awesome. We just love having all this awesome music on. But let me tell you, we're going to try to figure out how are we going to get rid of dating the sociopath? What do we need to do? How do we walk away from this manipulator? How do we get rid of being the prey in our relationship?
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to identify whether this is a sociopath. There are a few pointers I can give you which will help with that. Now, on their own, none of these things are bad. So, in fact, some of them are quite positive traits. But when you see it in the context of the whole, then you want to be afraid. So let's start off with the first.
Oh, God. Okay, go ahead.
So the first pointer is that sociopaths tend. Now, remember, every sociopath won't have everything, but you have to combine a few. So sociopaths tend to have really great social skills. So it's very hard to spot them. And they can be charismatic and charming. They are smooth talkers, always have an answer, never miss a beat. They can seem exciting. They can have impeccable manners, well-groomed, fulfill all the codes of romance. They'll lace their speech with impressive sounding facts and figures. So if somebody is like that, again, I mean, lots of people are like that and they're perfectly wonderful people, but already you want to have your first little alarm bell, because if they seem too good to be true, they probably are. The second pointer is if this is coupled with an enormous ego. So if your person in question is acting like the smartest, richest, most successful person in the world and actually telling you that, and coming out with amazing stories of their lives. It's like this individual is living 9 lives all at once. Again, think about it. Another pointer is if you're on a date, for instance, and your date is over and above normally attentive. So they're calling, they're texting you, they're emailing you constantly. They declare their undying love and they barely know you. They start to resent any time you spend with any friends and family. Again, be careful. Another one is called the Jekyll and Hyde personality. So one minute they love you, the next they hate you. Their personality changes like a switch. A huge one, which I probably should have started with. It's enormous. Lies and gaps in the story. If you're speaking to somebody and they're telling you these fantastic stories, and then the minute you ask questions and dig deeper, things don't stack up, then start to be very worried, because most of us don't really need to lie. We can embellish, we can exaggerate, but we don't really need to tell outrageous lies. And these guys are pathological liars. They cannot help it. They'll lie even when they would actually make out better telling the truth. So that's a big one. There are 2 more really important ones. These second to last is that they blame others. That means that nothing is ever their fault. It doesn't matter what they do. It's somebody else's fault. It's your fault. It's not their fault. And because they're manipulative, they have the ability to argue their case. And finally, this is a huge one. This is the one that con artists use. It's called pity play, which means that they appeal to your sympathy. They want you to feel sorry for an abusive childhood, an evil ex, an incurable disease. Don't get me started on the pretend cancer people. A financial setback. You know, my father is ill in some other country and can't afford his medical bills. Please help. I'm dying of terminal cancer. I mean, the stories, and someone like you and me, by the time we get to know them, we're in love with them, we care about them. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't just try to help? Because it's the last thing we expect is that we're being conned by someone who's taken the trouble to get to know us. So those are the checklists. That's the checklist that you want to be aware of.
Well, you know what is so scary, and I'm sitting here with my mouth open, I'm trying to actually close my teeth, is that you went through this checklist. I wrote everything down to say, okay, I want to see if the individuals that I mentioned earlier in the show, if they actually resonated with some of the characteristics. One of the gentlemen that came to my mind first when we started talking about, being a sociopath, he hits every single one of them. Not just one, all of them. I mean, you talk about smooth talker. You talk about being exciting, being a dancer, being all romantic, right? And then you start talking a little bit about that ego. Oh, he's all that in a bag of chips. I mean, he is the most successful person. I mean, he's done everything, met everybody, knows, all about how to do everything. And then, the being consumed, with his partner, his girlfriend, or whatever, and just texting all the time, has to be there 24 hours a day, never letting her breathe, not let her see her friends. And then the Jekyll Hyde, oh my gosh, that is like so typical, because it's like happy, 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 but when he doesn't get what he wants, then the other person suffers, right? And so I'm listening to this, and the lies and the gaps in the stories, I'm just like, by this time, my mouth is on the floor, and I'm trying to pick it up, because I'm like, you just put the nail in when you say they blame other people. So I could not get over that. I was check, 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 check. So for all the listeners right now who are listening, and you're going, oh my gosh, this sounds like somebody that I'm dating, what would you say, Dr. Charbit?
Well, I would say that you have no choice. You have to walk away. And, I'm so glad that I finally now know what a sociopath is, because so many times I've sat across from a girlfriend and listened to her story. Why is he doing this? Why did he do that? What do you think this means? And you hear, and as I'm sure men do it too, but as women, we do love to analyze a guy's behavior. And sometimes you could sit there and waste an entire evening trying to understand a guy when the simple answer is, oh, he's a sociopath, honey, walk away. And if only more of us knew that.
Are you saying walk away or run away? I would say run away. Hang on down there on that list.
Run away.
So is there anything to be concerned about? So you did talk about, potentially having some characteristics of being violent or anything like that in the Jekyll Hyde behavior. Is there anything that is there any suggestion you would give to the listeners to say, hey, if you just so happen to have an individual in your life that fits this sociopath, characteristics, and they're concerned for their safety because they're just afraid to leave, what would you recommend for them?
Well, ultimately, they have to find a way to leave, because there's no good will come from staying. The sociopath will continue to exploit, to suck them dry. The sociopath is the parasite and the predator at the same time. So if you stay, you're just wasting your life. Obviously, if you feel that you're in physical danger, especially if you have maybe children who are also in physical danger, you want to seek help, whether it's another friend or family or somebody who can come and help you to get away in the amount of time that it takes. But sticking with them and hoping they'll change, or hoping that they'll grow out of it, or he's getting old anyway, he'll mellow with age. That's just not going to happen. Ultimately you have to get out, but obviously you want to do it as safely as possible for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they're banking on. They're banking on you not wanting to leave, and they're going to prey on your emotions because you're a sensitive person. That's how you got sucked up in the first place, right?
Well, that's right. They charmed you. They now know how to push your buttons. And if you don't know that they're a sociopath, it's very easy to be manipulated by them and to think that everything is your fault, that the reason that everybody's miserable is because of you. And that's why it would be so nice if everybody knew what the word sociopath was, so that with so many people who are in this situation, instead of trying to figure it out, would just say, oh, it's because he's a sociopath. Right, there's nothing I can do about this. I'll just leave. That would be great for so many people.
And now, is there any way that they can outgrow it? So it sounds like they can't really outgrow it. They just kind of enter into our system, if you will, because they break the law, or they get, caught because they're doing some kind of scandalous or scheme thing to get money, steal money, or prey on other people. Does prison time actually help these people, or are they pretty much just going to get out and do the same thing again?
Typically, with sociopathy, it's not so much a mental illness, because people with mental illness suffer a terrible amount, but it's still a biological disorder of the brain. And as with all of these disorders, the longer you have it, the more it becomes a part of you, and the more it becomes fixed in your brain circuitry. Typically, sociopaths, as they age, they become better at manipulating. As they become more experienced, they just get better and better at it. So, I mean, right now there are researchers trying to catch children so that they, with the hope of helping them to rehabilitate. By the time they reach adulthood, especially if they've been doing it for a really long time, I mean, you can put them in jail 1,000 times. They don't feel empathy. They don't feel remorse. They don't think they should be in jail. It's somebody else's fault. No amount of prison time is going to change their minds.
Wow, and it sounds like with the warrior gene, the longer the warrior grows, the stronger the warrior gets.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
What a name. That was a perfect name. Whoever created that was brilliant, because it sounds just like that they're just working so hard at trying to, win a battle. And the battle's really with them, battle against themselves, but they're going to manipulate, control, and take down everybody and everything in their path as a warrior until they get exactly what they want, and they'll step on you and move on to the next victim. Is that about right?
Absolutely, because they're getting what they want isn't the end of their journey. They just have to keep praying and praying and praying and praying, because that's their makeup. That's their biological makeup. They're predators. It's like a shark is born a shark. He's not going to do anything else. That's his genetic makeup. And a human shark is going to act in the same way. They are predators.
Wow. And, it's just a scary thing. I'm sitting here thinking through all of this, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure my windows are down now when I'm sleeping. And I'm not a fearful kind of person. But it really makes you think twice when you really know some of these individuals that are out there. And it is kind of interesting, doing radio, doing some different things. I'm sure with your book, you get a lot of publicity. You get a lot of, people joining you, whether it's on the social media like Facebook and Twitter and different things like that, is it's just amazing at how you want to shelter yourself, yet you want to serve all these other people. And so I guess with that thought, I'm going to just point over there to Brian, and we'll get ready for our commercial break. But let's chat a little bit about this. And on our last segment, I want to talk a little bit more about how we can help others protect themselves and be able to move forward and have a very prosperous and successful life. You're listening to Elizabeth and Dr. Charbit.